At long last, I finally check out this bizarre anime. What's good, it's a boy Dude Reviews, and I finally checked out and finished Phantom Blood Arc, episodes 1 to 9, which originally aired back in October of 2012. And what is this arc all about? Well, the entire season, at first, it is split into two parts. Part 1 consisting of episodes 1 to 9, which is the Phantom Blood arc, and Part 2, episodes 10 to 26, the Battle Tendency arc. But we're here to talk about Phantom Blood arc, and the first part is set in the early to late 1880s, where George Joestar takes in the orphan Dio Brando to pay off a debt to Dio's late father Daro. Dio's attempts to become the sole heir to the Joestar fortune are thwarted, and he resorts to using an ancient, mysterious stone masks with some mysterious powers, which he transforms into a vampire, with his sights now set on world domination. With Will A. Zapley as a master of a supernatural ability called Hammond, and former street thug Robert E. O. Speedwagon at his side, George's son Jonathan trains in Harmon, all in order to try and stop Dio. But can Jonathan try and defeat Dio? Well, you gotta watch the show first. And let's talk about the good of this first arc. And the good of this arc is it's my first introduction to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and yeah, the art style is very, very stylized. I love the use of different colors whenever there's like a nighttime or daytime or scene like that, where they don't actually put like a blue filter when it's nighttime. They actually change the colors, so they've got like, I don't know, pink or purple hairs when the scene is dark, and then in the daylight their hair are like normal colors, which is like a blonde color. It's really, really interesting. The first few episodes were really enjoyable, just seeing Jonathan and Dio's like bantering back and forth. Dio was just such an unlikable guy. I loved I think episode 2, when it's a time skip and you have Dio and Joe all grown up, and it looks like they're being buddies, but deep down they're just sort of like sucking it up just so that Jonathan can try and make sure his father is not too mad at him, and for Dio to just try and take the main Joestar fortune and just try and poison Jonathan's dad, which was kind of messed up in a way. Here we come into some sort of spoiler territory, because literally right off in episode 3, when Jonathan and Joe have that intense fight, it looks like Dio is dead, but he just keeps coming back from the dead over and over again. But we don't actually see him die until the last episode of this arc, which is episode 9, and it's a pretty emotional moment, just sort of seeing like Jonathan in the boat with Dio holding him by his side, being like, it's just you and me to the end, buddy, and the ship just blows up, and it's just, oh man, it really hits the feels. The way this arc sort of ended, I mean, the author could have just ended the story on episode 9 and that's it. We didn't need to have any more Jonathan Joestar adventures or whatnot. It could have just ended episode 9, but this was just the beginning of something even grander, which I was just super hyped for. Damn, that opening theme song is so damn catchy. Every time the main singer goes Jojo, and I'm loving that ending credits. I'm a bit confused as to why they use CGI animation for the main character design. Wouldn't it make sense just to keep it more faithful to the way the anime looks? But I suppose it is just a more creative choice. It is to make it look more bizarre and to make it feel a bit out there in a way, because there is no hint of CGI in any of the episodes. There are some CGI elements in the second arc, but in this arc it's all 2D, which I kind of thought, okay, that's a bit bizarre. It works with the whole theme of the show. But let's talk about the bad, and I'm not gonna lie, there's not really much to say about bad in this anime. Of course, I did watch it in subbed and in the dub, and I must admit the sub did sort of hit it a little bit more for me. I think the English dub does get better as we go into the second arc, as they go to America, but it was very distracting hearing these obviously American speaking people trying to put on a British accent. It came across kind of unnatural at times, and it just sort of took me out of it, so I kept flicking back and forth between the subbed and the dubbed, and eventually I did end up watching it in dubbed. It does get better, but I mean, for the time, it was just not hitting it at all. I think people like Arena and some of the female characters, the voices weren't too bad, but apart from Dio, all the male characters just sounded off to me. Particularly Speedwagon, I just wasn't really digging the voice of him. Let's talk about Speedwagon for a bit. I like this guy. I respect him. I like how he's just randomly there just to support Jonathan. Like he's like the biggest Jonathan Joestar cheerleader in a way. But as much as I do like the Japanese voice actors, there were some times when I was watching this show that reading the subtitles and watching the animation kind of gave me a bit of a headache, because the animation is so bright and vivid and there's so much motion going on that my eyes couldn't dart back and forth between subtitles and the animation. So I ended up watching it in the dub just to sort of enjoy that animation, because that art is very unique and bizarre. I won't lie, it was really hard for me to get into this anime, as watching the 1 second of every JoJo episode didn't help, as I felt like it was a bit silly at times, with some of the weird meme-like moments, especially in the Japanese version. Plus that art style, wow, it almost put me off at first, but then I just sort of had to get into it and I got used to it eventually. I guess that the fact that everything is so damn saturated and bright, and it looks almost too bright and too colourful for such a kind of dark and serious story arc in a way, which I kind of didn't feel like it matched the vibe of what was being told in the story. Man, Dio kicking that dog in episode 1 really made you just hate this character so much. I mean, man, who kicks that dog? I won't lie, this arc surprised me quite a bit, because looking at all the posters and images and meme scenes, I thought this was going to be a full-out comedy. I was not expecting the amount of like dark tones and themes, like moments of like characters just being killed off and like gritty themes, which I just wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be funny, and it's not. The pacing between episodes of this arc was a bit bizarre, as in it felt like there was a lot, but at the same time not a lot at the same time. It felt like there was a lot of information, but the way the pacing was, it was really awkward at times, where it would kind of be a bit slow and then it would be a bit fast. But I guess that's more my fault, switching back and forth between Japanese and English, so the pacing does feel a bit different there. But overall, this arc was pretty okay. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm really sure there are other arcs of JoJo that I'm gonna like even more, and for that I'm gonna give this arc a 7 out of 10, and I'm gonna give it a B. Check out my other anime and manga reactions and reviews, but do you want me to review the other JoJo parts? Thank you for watching, and as always, Aboard Reviews signing out.